changing contracts, adding months and months to build time, prices all of a sudden skyrocketing. There are a lot of things happening in today's market in the Tacoma area with builders. There are a lot of threats and a lot of things are changing. Today, I'm going to expose some of those things that are happening, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to avoid falling into those builder traps, and we're getting after it right now. Hey, Chris, myself, and our team, we're getting phone calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you looking to move out here to the Tacoma area, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're looking at making your move in the next 3 days or the next 3 months, shoot us a phone call, text, or an email so we can help you make that smooth move out here to the greater Tacoma area. One thing we're seeing with a lot of these builder reps is a lot of high pressured sales tactics. Obviously, the market has changed a lot in the past couple of years. Interest rates have skyrocketed. There have been a lot of things happening with supply chains and financing. And now you're starting to see more and more of the used car salesmen, builder reps come out of the woodwork. This is super important that you keep an eye on, and you always remember these guys work for the builders, not for you. So we're seeing a lot of things coming up where basically people are telling our clients and other people buying homes in the area that, look, this street's going to be sold out before you know it, or hey, maybe there's been a lot of interest in this lot that you're interested in, and you know, if you don't go through and pick it up and buy it today, it's going to be gone when you get here tomorrow. I've never been a big fan of high pressured sales tactics. I've always thought they were sleazy, and you know, a home, and especially building one that could take months, is hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not into the millions. So treating it like a Snickers bar at a checkout line is absolutely ludicrous. These guys are pushing people to sign paperwork as quickly as they possibly can. And a lot of this comes back to their training, but this is not how you do a real estate transaction. So one thing I will tell you is, if you are considering picking up a new build in one of these beautiful master plan communities, take Chris or I with you. I can sit down with you immediately. As soon as we sit down with you, that shit's gone. They're not doing those high pressure tactics anymore because they know you have representation. If they are saying a lot is possibly going to sell out tomorrow, or this street could be gone by the next day, we have access to the MLS. We can actually get inside of the computer and sit down and take a look at the real estate market and let you know if there's an actual threat, or if maybe a neighborhood's moving slower and they're feeling that added pressure of their homes not selling as fast, so they're trying to put that pressure back on you to cut a deal. Real quick disclaimer, not all new builds or builders agents are bad. We do a lot of transactions as one of the top new build buyers teams in the greater Tacoma area, and we have fantastic relationships with so many builder reps. So I don't want you going to this video thinking at all that we're saying that every single builder has issues like this, because they certainly don't. We just want to make you aware if and any of them do have those issues. Some of these builders are making it incredibly hard for you to bring your own agent. It is a huge disadvantage for you going in to buy a new construction property without having your own representation. And some of these builder reps are doing every single thing they can to keep every penny in their pocket. Look, I'm not going to court without an attorney, just like I'm not going to go deal with these guys without representation. If you see some of my past videos about new construction, this has always been a huge pet peeve of mine. So what these people are doing is they'll have you go ahead and enter into the new construction community. They will have you sign in without your agent, and then whenever it's time to start actually getting to work, they'll basically say, hey, look, I'm sorry, sir, but you didn't bring an agent with you the first time, so you can either buy a house with us completely unrepresented, or you can kick rocks. And that is incredibly unfair to any consumer, also very malicious. Who wants to go up against something like that, like building a project that is going to take months and months and months, and that you're possibly going to live in for a long time with no representation? This is just another way for these new build representatives to bully you, to steamroll you, to try to pull one over on you, to keep those high pressured tactics going. They end up railroading people where they'll start off with a $650,000 house. It'll end up being over $1 million. And here's the thing, they know this. They know that if you have someone there with a fiduciary responsibility to take care of you, that is not going to be allowed to happen. That your agent is going to block them from acting that way, from operating that way. And here's the craziest part of all of it. These builders themselves, they have the commission for a agent who represents a buyer already factored into their marketing expenses. So it's not like if you're not represented, you get a solid discount on the home. No, in fact, you know what they do? They just pocket that money and call it extra profits. So as you go through this process, they could be blowing you over on inspections, on warranties, on the building process, on how long it's going to take to complete these things, all just so they can get the advantage. Now, having a good agent there is going to keep all of that from happening. So the thing you need to learn here is before you go see any new build community here in the Tacoma area, you need to have Chris or I with you. We will make sure that none of those tactics are allowed. If for some reason you go see one without us, let's say you pop in here into Halle and you go see Brookstone Homes, you need to tell them, hey, I'm represented by Austin Robertson. Right away, first thing. Just like if you're going to court, hey, can I talk to you? Nope, you need to talk to my attorney. It operates the exact same way. I do not personally want to see you making $100,000 or hundreds of thousands of dollars of a mistake by trying to move all the way across the country and it ends up being a huge disaster. We just helped a brand new client start building a house. The house originally started at $608,000, and by the time we finished our structural upgrades, like this really beautiful stone, the longer back deck, things along those lines, it was sitting closer to $700,000. While I did think it was a little extreme, I was able to step in and ask questions like, hey, would it be worth it to you to do the additional fireplace upgrade, or is the traditional modern one okay for you guys? And being there with our client really allows us to kind of lower that risk or that financial expense. But one thing that builders are doing out here is they are utilizing their design centers as a secondary source to pad their income. That's right. Now you might do these structural upgrades and it could be $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, if not more. But then you got to go to the design center. This is typically going to be something that is off-site at a later date. And it's going to be a free-for-all. They're going to show you every beautiful upgrade that they can. It's probably going to be overpriced for market value. Just throwing that out there. So, and remember, these design center reps work for the builder once again. So they are looking to get as much money as they can out of the house for these builders. So there's two schools of thought I have on this. So number one, it really is, how long do you plan on living in this house? So I'm living in a new build home here in Tahala. It's just a few years old now. I know for a fact that because I have 5 children, I do not need that to be my forever house. There is no way. So if I were to go to the design center today, I would not put in the golden countertop, I wouldn't put in this special hardwoods. I would stick with LVP because I know here in a few years, I'm moving out. I'm just going to downsize. That's the way it is once kids start moving along. But on the other hand, if you were building your new house, you were building this house right here, and it was going to be your forever home, okay? If that's going to be your forever house, that's a completely different story. Go ahead, put everything in it. Go to town. Obviously, don't go over your budget, but that's a completely different world. Do not let these people push you around, though. Don't let them try to upgrade more than you absolutely need to, and ultimately stay within the budget that you have set for your new build home. Here's what can happen. After you put that up, let's say down the road, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, you want to sell the house. Well, maybe you overpaid for some of those fancier upgrades, but by that time, you might have earned enough in equity that it ends up being a wash. Now, for my last clients that I had in a particular community, Sarah and Ali coming out here from Texas, we looked at several things in the gourmet kitchen, several different upgrades, and what we found was we could get essentially the same thing put in from like a Lowe's or a Home Depot for a massive discount compared to what the builder was offering. Not a different product, not a cut down product, the same thing, just not done by the builders. They are going to pad these prices. So what I would suggest is, just like I've said with every other point, look, when you go to the design center, if you feel like you're gonna need the help, reach out to Chris or I. We can travel out there with you. We can ask those questions that maybe you're not thinking of. We can pose that opposite point of view, because you're gonna get excited. You're gonna wanna spend money. Like, that's what we all do. But we can be that kind of level-headedness that you might be looking out for, because these people are going to try to get as much money as they can from you. The house will be done in about 3 months, guys. It's super easy. Been hearing that constantly. One of the things that builders are doing to take advantage of Tacoma area home buyers are they are just delivering straight up unrealistic expectations. Now, again, there are a few builders that I know that are delivering on time, but there are definitely some that are not. And this is a tactic that they are using right now to get you to sign a contract as fast as they possibly can. The reality is, these guys want you to sign on the dotted line ASAP, but in that contract, almost all these builders have stipulations for any of these houses where anytime in the next 12 to 24 months, they can deliver the house. Yeah, that's right. It could be up to 24 months. Now, they're not going to just all take breaks and not work on your house, but there could be really bad weather. There could be supply chain shortage. There could be product issues or hiring problems. And therefore, they write in their contract that they have a really damn long time to get your property completed. I just had a new build go under contract. One of the things that I asked from the builder was, I said, hey, look, we're moving across the country, as many of you are when you're relocating out here, especially from our YouTube channel. Can you give me a list of the homes that you've recently completed and how long they took? We ultimately ended up getting records of 40 homes, obviously all names and stuff deleted off of them, but kind of gave us a really good idea of how long it's going to take for these new builds to be built to completion. Now, the reason this is such an issue is what happens is people see that estimated completion date and they view it as like the biblical word. My friend had a client who had an apartment, let it lapse because they were moving on May 7th. Well, May 7th came around and that home wasn't ready yet. Now, my friend's a younger agent, didn't really know how to advise in the situation. And these people ended up essentially spending about $2,500 on an Airbnb just to cover the time while they waited for the home to be completed and done so they could move in. So that cost those folks an extra $2,500. And I don't know about you, but spending $2,500 on a rental does not sound like fun, especially when it was just a couple of weeks difference between the completion date and that factual end date. So make sure you're having a conversation with the builder rep on what their timelines really look like, what their real completion times turnarounds are. This might put some of them on our heels. What they'll usually say is, oh, well, that's proprietary information. The way I usually get around that is I have them generate me a report that's got all of the data stripped off that could be anything personal. And we use that to kind of determine and gauge what our timeline looks like. Now, again, that does not mean that something couldn't delay, but I promise you, if you get your eyes on the numbers, it will do and go a lot further than if you hadn't. The last thing I really want to touch on is builders pressuring people out of not doing or trying not to allow inspections. As you can see, some of these houses are kind of coming to that finishing area where they're just putting on siding and doing some more of the fine work for it. A lot of builders are trying to keep people away from doing inspections, knowing that they have, and falling back on that 1 year's builder warranty. Well, here's the thing. most of this stuff isn't going to break down in just a year, and you want to have someone, a professional, put eyes on this at the drywall stage so you can see what's going on, before it all gets covered up. In fact, back when I was a career firefighter, we used to come out to new build communities just like this. We would take our probies, the young guys, and we would walk them through properties really in this phase where maybe there was electrical ran, but it wasn't really like shut down yet. And we would walk them through the houses and we would point out things that seemed dangerous, maybe seemed off, not fully completed. And we would run them through these tests of scenarios of like, okay, well, what would go wrong if X happened in this house, right? And so we were planning for fires, we were planning for disasters based on how some of these homes were at these phases. So having an inspector who is, that you've hired, that you can rely on, go through the house and just make sure there's nothing crazy is always the way to go. Now, they might try to say in the contract that it's got to be on a Thursday, it's got to be the second Thursday of the month, the inspector has to wear a green shirt, and Austin's got to be on vacation. Here's the thing, not how we're playing this. We're going to get that right in the contract. We're going to let them know that we're going to do independent inspections. I don't care if they say they've got the 1-year builder warranty. I do not want to put your family in a situation where down the road there could be something horrific happen. Now, yeah, could it be a fire and it'd be a terrible event? Yes. Could it also just be a nasty, annoying leak that you end up paying for out of pocket? Absolutely. But either way, I do not want to put you in that position, and that's my job to represent you in that way. So the scummy builders out here do not want to have a professional go through and check out their properties. The good ones are confident in the product they're delivering, but there are some skeezy ones that are going to ultimately try to pull one over on us, and we're not going to allow it. All right, well, there you have it. There are several things that I feel like builders right now are trying to use to pull one over on new build buyers here in the greater Tacoma area. And if you have sat there and jotted down a huge list, let me make it really simple for you. Throw that thing away. All you need to do is reach out to us before you ever go look at a new build home, before you ever inquire on one. Let us take care of that. Let us take that stress off of your hands. That way you're not worried about what is going to happen. You and me can work through this together, step by step, through the entire way from picking out the right plot of dirt all the way to welcoming your family into your new home. That is absolutely what we love to do. And again, whether you're looking at making your move in the next 3 days or 3 months, we do not care. Shoot us a phone call, text, or an email so we can help make that smooth move out here to Tacoma, protected and safe the way it should be. And until next time, I cannot wait till you're out here so we can show you around.